Today, we're diving into one of the most intense killer games on Roblox, A Forsaken. We're going over the killer tier list, and trust me, you do not want to miss this one. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you never miss any of my awesome gaming content. Alright, enough talk, let's jump straight into it and figure out which killers are worth your time. Alright, we're kicking things off with the C tier killers. These are the ones that are decent to start with, but as you unlock better characters, they kinda fall off. Let's start with the one, the only, Jason. C tier A Jason. Jason is the classic. He's the default killer, and for a lot of players, he's the first killer you will use when you're just starting out. And honestly, he's not terrible, but there's a reason he's in the C tier. Jason's abilities revolve around slash-based attacks that inflict status effects like bleeding, slowness, and helplessness. These effects can really mess with survivors, but here's the catch: they don't do as much damage or last as long as the abilities of other killers. Jason's slash attacks are good for causing chaos, but compared to the other killers, he's just not as effective in terms of raw power. He's great for beginners and is a good way to get the hang of how the game works, but as soon as you unlock better killers, Jason is definitely going to feel kinda weak. Still, he's solid for farming those early game wins and learning the ropes. Alright, now that we've talked about Jason, let's move on to the next killer in our B tier, Cool Kid. B tier A Cool Kid. Cool Kid is a bit of an underrated gem. Now, he's not as powerful as the S tier killers, but he's got some seriously fun abilities that make him a solid pick for certain playstyles. Let's talk about his pizza delivery skill. Yup, you heard me right, pizza delivery. When activated, it spawns 2 robots that automatically reveal the location of nearby survivors. That's super useful if you're trying to track down survivors quickly. But that's not all. Cool Kid's corrupt nature ability is also a game changer. It lets him shoot projectiles through walls. That's right, shooting through walls. Imagine the possibilities: surprise attacks, catching survivors off guard, and just generally being a total menace. Cool Kid isn't the most powerful killer out there, but he's definitely a lot of fun if you like a stealthy, strategic playstyle. His ability to locate and trap survivors is solid, but compared to the sheer destruction that the S tier and A tier killers bring, Cool Kid just doesn't have that same overwhelming power. Still, if you love playing the sneaky and strategic game, Cool Kid is definitely a killer you want to try out. Alright, moving up to the A tier A, it's time to talk about the infamous John Doe. A tier A John Doe. Now, this guy John Doe is a beast, but he's a bit more complex to play compared to the lower tier killers. If you're looking for pure, unrelenting power, you might lean towards the S tier, but John Doe is one of those killers that requires a little more finesse to master. His 404 air ability is absolutely game-changing. It reveals the auras of all living survivors for 4 seconds. This is massive, especially when there are just a few survivors left in the game. You can use this reveal to track them down and finish them off quickly. John Doe is one of those killers who really rewards a strategic, well-planned playstyle. He's not as straightforward as 1x1x1x1, but if you can master his abilities, he's a powerhouse. I love using him in late-game situations when I know survivors are scrambling to escape. His 404 error lets you turn the tide of the match and close in on your targets. So, if you're looking for a killer that's a little more challenging to use but still packs a punch, John Doe is definitely a killer worth unlocking. Just be ready to put in a little more practice to make the most of his abilities. And now, guys, let's talk about the ultimate killer, the one who reigns supreme in the S tier. 1x1x1x1, S tier A 1x1x1x1. Here it is, the moment we've all been waiting for. 1x1x1x1 is an absolute legend in Forsaken. This killer is, without a doubt, the most powerful character in the game, and if you're looking to climb the ranks and rack up wins, 1x1x1x1 is the way to go. His abilities are insane. First off, he can inflict glitched, poison, and slowness effects on survivors, so not only is he dealing damage, but he's also making it harder for survivors to escape and fight back. But wait, it gets better. A 1x1x1x1 has the Rejuvenate the Rotten ability, which allows him to resurrect dead survivors and turn them into his minions. Yeah, that's right, he can bring back the dead to fight for him. Imagine a horde of undead survivors chasing down the remaining players. It's an absolute nightmare for survivors. If you want to dominate and Forsaken, one by one is the killer you need. He's got everything: powerful attacks, status effects, and the ability to bring the dead back to life. The amount of control he can take over the game is unparalleled, and he's easily one of the most OP killers in the entire game. Once you unlock one by one, you'll be an unstoppable force, and survivors won't know what's hit them. So, that's it for today's killer tier list. If you enjoyed the video, do me a huge favor and smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to turn on the notifications so you never miss out on any of my future content. And hey, if you are really feeling the love, share this video with your friends, and let's get this community growing. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.